Okay, we're back to where we were on Tuesday, week 13. We talked about the discussion. There is one uh, assignment, there is not. Okay, your last chapter outline that is due is chapter 5. I know I scheduled chapter 16, and some people have already turned it in. Thank you, but nobody else needs to turn it in. Okay, these outlines, even for the remaining chapters, just a couple of chapters, these outlines should really prove beneficial to you in studying for the final exam. Okay. The final exam is comprehensive, and the outlines refresh your memory on everything. Otherwise, you probably have to go back to the book or especially your notes. We talked about the spinal nerves on Tuesday, and we found that a lot of people don't feel comfortable with it yet. Well, that's fine. We're going to go over the nervous system and the spinal nerves completely one more time. Okay. And you may want to tune out if you have no trouble with it. But if you are having any doubts about that material, we're going to go over it again slowly. Okay. We have the time to do that. I gave you a handout for the organ system that is part of P4. I'll be coming back to that. And we had a talk about the epithelial tissues on 420. And the epithelial tissues were the first ones that we covered then. I showed you where to get photographs. Uh, Now, these are a collection of photographs. You don't have to go searching for them. But if you search for the internet for photographs, you can find better ones. And I encourage you to do that. Okay? Just to show you where that page was. Here it is. Today, having done epithelial tissue over here, today we're going to do connective tissue, which looks like it's more material, but actually this is considerably easier than epithelial tissue. Okay. Then we had a recording I posted, the study guide. I asked you to begin filling this in. You can do it as we go along. Like, for instance, yesterday, Tuesday, we talked about simple squamous epithelium being the best example being the Bowman's capsule. But what's its function? And its function is what you would write here. Where you're going to get the function from the index of the book, go to the type of tissue and read the small little paragraph that it will have on it and the picture that it has on it. And you'll find that squamous tissue is primarily for filtration. I wanted you to complete this entire page because a lot of the questions on the practical number 4 come from this page. Then I wanted you please to take a quick photograph of it and send it in to me. Okay. I don't care if the photograph is dark or light or landscape or portrait. I don't care about anything like that. I just want to see that you did it because I think it's important that you do this. Okay, here we are at tissues part 2. Okay, so we did epithelial tissue. Now we're going to move into connective tissue. We have more types of connective tissue than we do of epithelia. What do? Just like the name says, connect this to that, one tissue to another, an organ to the parts of the organ to another organ. The first type of connective tissue is a relar connective tissue. Nobody has ever in all of my years missed the question on a relar connective tissue. You can be the first at something if you want. A relar connective tissue is loose connective tissue. What does this look like? My God, it looks like a bunch of birds got or bugs got caught in a wire fence or something similar to that. It's quite movable, quite pliable. If you were to touch your neck and move the skin around on your neck, it should be fairly loose compared to other parts of your body, like for instance on the wrist. The wrist is a little bit loose too. The loose connective tissue here is a relar connective tissue. These are the actual cells with their nucleus inside, and this are the external fibers. One other thing while we're on this one, when you see a picture of a relar connective tissue, it won't look the same color as this one. It won't look the same density as this one, but it will look like this nevertheless. It will have uh, a lot of things in common. A slide can be stained any color, so you can't depend upon that. And in different parts of the body, a relar connective tissue looks different. We'll be seeing examples of other ones, and you won't have any trouble. Okay. The next one down is fat. We don't call it that. We call it adipose tissue. It usually looks like soap bubbles. And there's often a small little nucleus on the side where I'm touching. You can expect to find fat around any organ in the body. Okay. It insulates, it stores food, it protects against trauma, and it also interconnects one organ with another, or one item with another. Here's a vein down at the bottom. It's been cut obliquely, okay, but this is a vein, and it's surrounded completely by fat. Dense, regular connective tissue. Dense, this means exactly that. It's not like a relar tissue, which was loose. This is quite dense. The fibers run very close to each other. Regular means that it goes more or less in a straight line. And this, you look at it, you're saying it's wavy. It's wavy slightly. What happened there? It's wavy because the microtome knife, that's the machine knife that cuts these slides, doesn't cut it perfectly. It is the cause of this artifact. Okay. Here are nuclei, here, 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 and here. And the best example where you would find this dense, regular connective tissue is the tendon. The tendon. You expect the tendon to be, I think this is pink or red. Uh, I always have to let you have a moment to correct me on color. But when you see tendon, you see it yellow. You see it under the microscope or on a slide like this. You see it clear because it didn't get stained. The color is not significant. Now this coming up is dense irregular connective tissue. Okay, if you recognize where this is the skin. This net-like area out here is the stratum corneum. And then the other 4 layers are below it right here. From where the needle is right now up to here is the epidermis. The type of um, tissue that the epidermis is an epithelium again from the other day. It's stratified squamous epithelium. As you're studying, you might, nobody's listening to you, so you might want to say it out loud. Say, or think at least to yourself, the names of all of these structures, because they got to come to you pretty quickly on the exam, and they will. Don't worry, I'm not trying to scare you. Okay, so this is all epidermis. Now the lighter, I guess, pink area in here that has inclusions, but the pink area is dermis. And you can see it's irregular. It's not running in straight lines. This is dense, irregular connective tissue. Right in here. Now, if you're wondering what is that, maybe that and that, it's a sweat gland. The sweat glands we'll be looking at separately, but it is a sweat gland for now. This is dermis, this is epidermis. That's the only two parts of the skin. Okay, the hypodermis, which is not showing, fortunately, in this picture, the hypodermis is mostly fat, is a go-between connective tissue between the skin and the underlying muscle. Well, we've seen this one before. That's nice. This is compact bone. Okay, so bone that you associate with a broken bone in the leg or the arm or someplace. This is compact bone. This is an osteon. Here's an osteon sort of scrunched sideways. It's okay. Here's an osteon over here. The osteon is the physiological unit of the compact bone. In the center of it is the Haversian canal. It has rings of tissue, and the rings are called lamella. Captured between any two adjacent lamella are these dark spots. And this is a lacuna. Now we can't see further than that on this picture, but within the lacuna is the osteocyte. Okay. So when this picture comes up on the test on P4, the first 33 questions are slides, just like this one, just like the other ones. And you may be asked, what tissue is this? Or what organ does this come from? We haven't done organs yet, okay? And, or you may also be asked, what is the arrow pointing to? There may be an arrow pointing to the center. If that's the case, that answer is Haversian canal. Okay. First, you have to know it's compact bone, however. The practicum, of course, is multiple choice, taken just like the first two practicums on Canvas. Cancellous bone, also known as spongy bone. Okay. This is sort of pretty. There are so many different pictures that you'll find on the internet for this, and they're all really kind of beautiful. They sort of remind you of uh, ice cream topping flowing down and you're looking at it from the top. In the center of the cancellous bone, you have blood forming cells, megakaryocytes, a term you don't have to know here. Okay? These form blood, they form white blood cells, they form red blood cells. That's not the case with the compact bone above it. That's for structural uh, rigidity. Can you find these two in one bone? Yes. The femur, the head of the femur, think of it. I know you can do it. The head of the femur is lousy with cancellous bone, this kind. Whereas the shaft of the femur, halfway down your leg, is composed of compact bone. Hyaline cartilage. If you've ever eaten chicken or seen somebody else do it, I know there's some vegetarians must be out there. Uh, the breastbone, they call it. It's not a bone. It's hyaline cartilage. It's hyaline cartilage. Many fish do not have bones. They have cartilage instead. Okay. Your nose, if you wiggle your nose, it's cartilage. Okay. It's hyaline cartilage as well. There's three types of cartilage: hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, and fibrocartilage. Hyaline cartilage is the most common, and it's the prettiest to look at. Okay, this one has been stained. Uh, I don't know what color that is. Uh, and here are the individual cells with their nuclei and their exudate, what they secrete. You can think of it as glue holding the cartilage itself together and the cartilage to other organs. Okay. Hyaline cartilage has no vascular system. It has no blood supply. No cartilage has a blood supply, so it cannot be really thick. If it were thick, it would not be able to get blood into the living cells in the center. It is definitely a living tissue. Okay. So you don't see any blood vessels in here. You don't even see any adipose or fat cells in here either. Hyaline cartilage is pretty darn pure. Another place for hyaline cartilage, I'm going to say it because I know it'll be on the test. It always is. Whether I use an old test, a new test, it'll be there. At the ends of the long bones, like the tibia and the femur, you have a cap of cartilage to protect the ends of the bone. That's always hyaline cartilage at the articular joints. Elastic cartilage. The elastic cartilage was predominant in two places in the body. The epiglottis at the top of the um, trachea. Okay, the epiglottis is elastic cartilage. The word elastic means that something bends, but it comes back. That's good for the epiglottis. We want it to bend and then pop back. Okay. The word plastic, on the other hand, which is not here, but plastic means it bends and it won't come back. This is elastic cartilage. Now, where else would you find it? You would find it in your ears. Okay, the pinna of your ears. This is the cartilage running, let's say, in the middle of your ear. By middle of the ear, I mean, if you mentally or physically grab the top of your ear and pinch, the outside and the other side are both kind of soft, but there's something firm inside, and that's this. This is the elastic cartilage right here. This is the surrounding tissue on either side. Sometimes the elastic cartilage appears as a rod. Can you see this as a rod here? It's large cells on this side, but it's falling away from you on both sides, and the cells are getting smaller. And then they're going to go under and come back on the other side. Okay. Fibrocartilage we're not going to include. And the reason for that is not that it's not important. It just does not section well, and you don't find it well in the photomicrograph. This directs you to a chart that shows all of the different types of tissue, but you've already seen this chart. That's the same chart that I just showed you. Okay. If we go down the connective tissues that we just did, areolar, adipose, the tendon, which is dense regular, the dermis, which is dense irregular, compact and cancellous bone, hyaline cartilage and elastic cartilage. In parentheses, the fibrocartilage is not to be drawn or worried about, frankly. Okay. I didn't show you blood. Okay. On the blood, we've seen this before too. It's nice to have some stuff that's a repeat. Here's the red blood cells with no white blood cells in them, the eosinophil, the neutrophil, the lymphocyte, and then the larger monocyte. There was a question on the last practicum that asked you, what kind of white blood cell is this? I think the answer is eosinophil for that one. That question will reappear. Not the same exact question, it'll pick out a different one of these. So please take a look at it. The artery and vein we've seen, and that's what the little asterisk is for. Here's the vein I showed you earlier, surrounded by blood. Here's an artery with a thicker tunica media. The blood is running through it in here, and it's surrounded by adipose as well. Generally speaking, arteries and veins run parallel or side by side. So if you took this picture over here and put it over here, that's where it really was until it was cropped. So these are roughly the same diameter. Muscle, you've seen these before. Please look at them again. They will appear on the P4. Skeletal muscle with its striations, quite obvious, and its nuclei being peripheral to the muscle fibers. That doesn't look peripheral, but it's on top of the fiber. One's on top, one I think is underneath. Cardiac muscle again. We've seen this one before. and smooth muscle. The smooth muscle is shown in two different ways here. This is the one I always think of as fish in a fast-moving stream. You can see it's circular. And over here, we have a cross-section of the small intestine. And it has the circular smooth muscle here going around it, and longitudinal smooth muscle here so that it can contract. I'm not going to go over these today, the organs. I'm going to go over those on Tuesday. We have plenty of time. I don't, you're welcome, of course, to go ahead, but I'm not going that far on today. On my own website, okay, I've done some cleanup on it for you. I've got some more to do, but it can prove to be helpful to you in studying. After all, this is the site that was used for 20 years or so to teach this class. So I'm going to go to the website. If it doesn't pop up for you, always just click the title. Now I'm going to wait for a second and see if it pops up. Okay. But if you get this blank screen, click the title. And there it is. Okay. That's just a quirk of Canvas, of which it has many. Okay, now it has your ticket numbers right here and here. Okay. Please do not look at its syllabus or grades just yet. Instead, come over to the laboratory material and Unit 4. Okay. Unit 4. There are some web links in Unit 4. It's a document. This one was not put together by me. Okay. By Jane Horlings. And she's since retired. Okay. General histology resources. You know, this P4 used to be called just histology. We'd call P1 bones, P2 muscles, P3 circulatory system, but you know we didn't just have circulatory system. We had quite a bit of material in P3, the eye, the brain, everything. And it's not just histology here, but for the histology, you can come to these items, read their description, and see if you think any of them are going to help you. Okay. You do not need them, but if they're helpful, you want them. Now, this is an external link to all these sites. These sites individually weren't put together by Jane Horlings or me. These sites are put together by somebody at another school. I do that, and they steal my stuff. They take it and they steal it, they put it into their syllabus and their outlines, and they say that they did it. I don't get involved with that. Uh, but what I'm saying is, since somebody else has made the website, these blue lines here, they can also take it down. And if they've taken it down, it won't open. So please, as you go through these, expect that some of them won't open. Watch probably the first one. I have to push control to get the hand. Oh, I don't worry about the security concern. Okay, the item could not be found. So that didn't do us any good. Okay, that item was found. Okay. Epithelium and simple glands. Skin would be interesting. Bone marrow. Here's muscle. Of course, we should be okay with muscle, but let me see what they got. Okay, that's a longitudinal slice of muscle. Not very interesting to me. This is smooth muscle. Doesn't look like a bunch of smelt in the water. Skeletal muscle. That's nice. Not colorful, but nice. Okay. The histology study guide. Okay, in Unit 4. You've seen it. You've got it. I showed it to you a moment ago. Here it is. Okay. Print one out for yourself. Answer definition or function. Snap a picture for me, please. And I'll feel more comfortable. I'm telling you this, if you don't do the histology study guide, you are destined to do poorly on the exam. I know none of us want that. Okay. Histology slides, that gets where that's going to take you again. Okay. Well, we've done across here to smooth muscle. We have the neuron to do and the organs. Might as well get the neuron out of the way, huh? I got that slide. I think that was the first one I ever took. Here's a neuron. There's several in here. And it's facing the opposite direction than we always draw it. Here's the parakaryon. Here's the axon cylinder. The axon hillock would be approximately there. The axon cylinder going out, but we can't see anymore because it's too fragile and it's broken. It's off. Here are dendrites here, 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 and here. What are the little dark dots? Somebody want to make a guess so I know I'm not here by myself? They're glial cells. Glial cells. Remember, 90% or so of the central nervous system cells are glial cells and not neurons. I see about 7 neurons here. I see a heck of a lot more of the glial cells, the astrocytes, oligodendrocytes, and the microglia. Down a little farther, there are photos of classroom models. I'll have lots more than this. We have not gotten to this point yet. Okay, we're starting with the histology. Get the hard part out of the way. so that we have time later on when we come back to refresh that we're just not doing it histology back to back. We do histology, then we move on to organs, and then we can come back and review histology. But there are photos of classroom models. Okay. Well, this is an unlabeled model. So you and I will be going through these. Okay. You've seen the kidney. You've got it in your notes. You've seen images of it. Now you get tested on it. You've been tested in text on the kidney, but you haven't actually had it uh, in front of you as a model. So this should actually be a refreshing one to have. We went over this picture before, okay, and it will show up on the exam. Reproductive system, skin, throat area, the bladder. Okay, I'm just cruising down the side here. There's quite a bit of material. The head model. You can take a look at this one if you want a preview. Uh, it won't be a preview for long. We'll go right into it. The study guide for organs I've already given to you. Okay. This is maybe a little bit neater because I put it into two columns for you. You may want to copy that one. So we'll be looking at the integumentary system or skin, okay, the reproductive system, respiratory system, the digestive system again, the endocrine system, the urinary system. Come on, go to the top. And now down at the bottom here, I can't even see what is there because it's blacked out by the, or greened out, I think, by the message. You'll have a practice PowerPoint. This is not my favorite one. My favorites you're going to see. This was my favorite because it's a lousy picture. This is a velar connective tissue again. Okay. Here's the epidermis from here down to here. The dermis is underneath it. Adipose tissue. The answer as to what it is given here. It's given down at the bottom. This is transitional epithelium. Multi-layers can only be one of two things, transitional or stratified squamous. Since the outer cells are not flattened, this is transitional. Uh, Not a good picture. Pictures on your exam will be perfect. Uh, this is the colon. You wouldn't be expected to know that yet. You would be expected to know the compact bone. This fools a lot of people, but it's nothing different. It's the epidermis up here. and the dermis below. This is the elastic cartilage that we saw before. This is the eye. Huh. Well, this dark coat is the choroid coat. We start there. And then we look for the area that looks like mowed lawn. That's the retina. This is the posterior cavity. And this then has got to be the sclera. This is the hyaline cartilage. Different color. I told you that is to be expected. Even different shape. Here's a glomerulus surrounded by a Bowman's capsule. I'm not spending any time with these except to give you a look, and the more you look, the better it will be. But I'm not going over them all right now in any depth. Here are the kidney tubules cut transversely. The epithelium is simple cuboidal. This is the pseudostratified ciliated, that gives it away, columnar epithelium, which would be found in the respiratory tract. This is lung tissue. You haven't seen it yet. Looks sort of like a rather stiff sponge or loofah, even. And we'll be talking about that. This one you haven't seen yet. Don't be concerned. But for a first look, this is the pancreas. It has a islets of Langerhans, they're called, where insulin and glucagon are produced. Okay. There's a tiny piece of one over here, but these are pretty good. This has got to be a gland. Well, the pancreas is a gland, but you look at a slide and you see a long line like this. That's in no way a blood vessel. A blood vessel would weave up and down, sideways, and never be all in one plane like this. When you see a long line running through an organ, the organ is a gland with lobes. If you've looked at marbled meat at the supermarket, the fat or the marbling always is continuous because it goes all the way around. Same picture. We saw this picture the other day. These are the microvilli of the villus. This is the villus. This is the small intestine. I wouldn't use this picture, but it's good to teach by. This nice, smooth, runny looking material, like topping on ice cream again, that makes this the cancellous or spongy bone. Running in the straight line, very close together. This is dense, regular connective tissue or tendon. Of course, you can instantly just look down at the bottom left corner here and get your answer. This is transitional epithelium. Many layers thick, and the outer layers aren't flat. So it's got to be transitional. I have more histology slides under here. I wish I could see what that was. Yeah, may. Some of you may wish to draw. for your own benefit, not for mine. It can be tedious, but some people love to draw. And so if you do, I have drawing templates here. Okay, where you would list the tissue type, the name of the slide if you knew it. Now, you're not having this physical slide in your hand, so you just have to leave that blank. Where in the body the tissue is located, you get that out of the book, or you get it out of your head, or you get it out of our notes. Okay, and any characteristics like uh, functions and conduction of uh, fluid. Okay, magnification is not important. If you want the magnification, it's usually listed on the picture itself. And you can print off as many of these guys as you care to. And I would normally face-to-face class have people doing this at home. I would actually have them do all the epithelial tissues on these pages in the classroom. And they're passing. In other words, I tell them they're fine. They don't need to do any more. That what comes about when I look at their picture and I can tell what it is without reading any label. If I can't tell what it is, they got to do it again. Okay, so I would do that, and then everybody passed the finally epithelial tissues, and all the rest were done at home using the internet to find the slide that they wanted to draw. Looking at a microscope, looking at a monitor screen, it's almost the same thing. Okay. I just clicked this one even though I can't read what it is. Okay, yeah, these are nice pictures. I went back and took some more. They're all labeled, however. There's the tongue. On the tongue, you need to know this little guy here. This is a taste bud, a TB. Okay. Stomach. When we get to it, I'll show you these again. We've seen that one. This is pancreas again. We know it's lobed, islet of Langerhans, the endocrine portion. Lung, the skin. Now this one's nice because it shows sweat glands. Okay. And it shows oil glands, which are down here. You are not expected to commit anything to memory here today. What you're expected to do is, in looking at it, is to get a first glimpse. You know, when I meet somebody, I have a bad habit. I never remember their name. I know you're not supposed to do that. It's important people like their name, but I never remember their name until the second time I hear it. The second time I hear it, I got it. Well, you got to see these slides a number of times. Let me run through them. Let me say more about them, and let me take more time. Okay, so don't go away today thinking you're lost. You are not lost. Okay, you're being found. Here's an eye, choroid coat, sclera, and up here is the retina. There's the optic disc. They happen to get it just perfect. That's an ovary. That happens to be from a cat. And the testes, where the spermatozoa are formed. It's a series of tubules. Not to be confused with kidney tubules. Kidney tubules have simple cuboidal epithelium around the lumen. This does not. This has got several layers. It never quits. Okay, now I took some more pictures. This one I didn't label here. Okay, that's a glomerulus, glomerular space, Bowman's capsule. Here are kidney tubules. Go to the next picture and get your answers. Again, and answers. Only one answer. The whole thing is simple cuboidal epithelium, not of the kidney. This one might fool you at first, but these are villi coming out towards you for the most part. And this is simple columnar epithelium, which lines all of the GI tract except for the upper esophagus. The stomach, the small intestine, the colon, all are lined by simple columnar. Okay, so simple columnar epithelium. There's our skin again with a different color. There's our ciliated columnar epithelium, pseudostratified. There's its name. This is a beautiful picture of transitional epithelium. Several layers thick, outer layers are not flat. Go to the next slide. There's the name, and it's in the ureter. That's got to be tendon. That's got to be adipose. Okay, the bubbles aren't white. They're sort of a yellowish color. Color is not important. Not here. That's adipose also, and it is white. That's our areolar connective tissue. A much nicer picture. These are the kind of pictures you'll get on the examination. Areolar connective tissue. This one I wouldn't put on the test, but you can figure it's a sort of a modernistic approach to compact bone. And the white spots are the eversion canal. There's the picture we saw before. That one may fool you for a moment, but it's the central portion of the elastic cartilage. You see them a couple times, they don't fool you. That's in learning names, as I was mentioning. There's always somebody. Unfortunately, I won't tell them who. I can't remember one person's name. What is that guy's name? I keep forgetting. So I do what you do probably. I invent some characteristic or exaggerate some characteristic the person has and bring it to mind every time, and then it latches me onto the name. This, which looks like a oil, has seeped into the ground. This is elastic connective tissue, elastic cartilage in here. Red blood cell, lymphocyte, neutrophil, same pictures. Monocyte, that's it. Okay, we're back. Okay, I'm going to show you when we come back from a break. I'm going to show you the endocrine system. Okay. Now, I'd like a little bit of discussion or talk, if you don't mind. How lost do you feel versus how confident do you think you'll feel by the time the exam comes on the 18th? God, we got a lot of time. We've got a lot of time and not a lot of material left to do. So
That was a lot of information, but I think with all the time we have, we should be able to get through it, have plenty of time to understand it.
I think you will too. Uh, it always sounds like a lot of information when somebody's just rattling off, like calling the roll in class. Uh, I can call the roll the first day, and I don't know anybody's name because I've been looking at the roll sheet. You know, uh, I know you will. My job right now isn't just to show you this material. My job's to keep you from giving up. Okay, because there's no need to. There's no need to. You will do well on this material. Uh, we go over it so many times. There'll be some days when you just don't want to be here, and I can understand that. Either don't be or put your black screen up like you do and go away, and then come back when you think you hear something good going on. Okay. Okay. I'm going to, as I said, get you started on the endocrine system. I'm not giving a long lecture on that today. Don't worry. Okay. Uh, and the time right now is 15. So come back please at 3:30. 3:30. Okay, and I'll get you out at the same time. Okay.
Okay, see you at 3:30, Charlie.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
Yeah, my computer froze up.
Charlie.
Computer froze up or something. Everything was going crazy here, and couldn't get back on. But here we are. Okay, so did you think of any questions or comments? Anything? Okay.
Nothing that I can think of for now.
Well, you probably got enough on your mind right now. Okay. Okay. Then I'll go back to sharing the screen, and if it takes an extra minute because of whatever is happening with my machine, we'll get it done. Okay. Okay, are you with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, there's going to be a lot of materials thrown at you, but a lot of it is duplicate. A lot of it is meant so that you recognize something from the back, from the front, and it just keep calm about it. It will help you. Okay, a lot of well, yeah, it's a lot of material, but with the change in dates that I gave you today, if you were here to hear them, uh, the lecture date, the practicum date, the final date are all going to give you an extra week. Okay, so hopefully, I'm down here at endocrine system. This is one of my least favorite topics to talk about or to work with. I love the topic. I love the idea and everything, but it's not my favorite to talk about. You'll see why. Okay, so let's get to it. Come on. Okay, endocrine system. Oh, I didn't change the date on that. Well, I thought I did. Okay. When we talk about the endocrine system, I'm sure all of you realize that we're talking about the hormonal system of the body. And everybody talks about hormones. Uh, they talk about it in cattle raising. Oh, we use no hormones, or we do use hormones. Our chickens are raised without hormones. You know, a lot of words that people just don't even have a clue what they mean anyway. Uh, if they did, maybe they wouldn't be so concerned. Maybe they would be concerned. But what's a hormone? Well, I'm not, if I were to ask you, like I do my other classes too, I get lots and lots of answers. And then if I take the part that is correct on each answer and throw away the part that's not correct, then we come up with the right definition of a hormone. But here it is. It's written here in front of you. Hormones, a substance produced in one part of the body, and it's transported to another part or parts where it performs some function or functions. Okay, it's produced here, goes there to produce its function. Hormones act in extremely small quantities, and they cannot be food, they cannot be water either. Hormones, characteristic wise, are secreted by endocrine glands. Endocrine glands are also known as ductless glands. glands without ducts because they secrete the hormone that they produce directly into the passing circulatory system, into the passing blood. Okay. And once the hormone, say from your pituitary, is passed into the blood system, where's it going to go from there? Absolutely everywhere in the body. Every hormone that you produce goes everywhere in your body, but it doesn't have a function everywhere. Hormones are usually more specific than that, and they have a specific target organ that they work on. Hormones do not work or have an effect on the organ, the endocrine gland that produces them. They can't. If the adrenal gland produces adrenaline and speeds up all the workings of the body, and it also came back to the adrenal gland, it would speed up the adrenal gland to produce more adrenaline, again and again and again and again until you just explode in excitement. No, that's not going to happen. Okay, so the endocrine gland produces the hormone to have an effect on a target organ or organs sometimes, but not on itself. Okay. The target organ is the organ affected by a hormone. It's common to say it this way: the organ affected by a hormone is the target organ, but it can be a tissue as well, or any other part of the body. Here's a list of the hormones that you're responsible for. It's longer than this when I finish scrolling down. The neural hypophysis and adenohypophysis make up the pituitary gland. The neural hypophysis is the posterior part of the pituitary gland. Now, you know about the size and shape of the pituitary gland. It's that gland that fits into the sella turcica of the sphenoid bone. So it's about the size of the tip of your little finger. The posterior portion is called the posterior pituitary, but it's also known as the neural hypophysis. Neural hypophysis because it's nervous tissue. This is the only gland in the endocrine system that's composed of nervous tissue. The hormones that it gets and distributes come directly from the hypothalamus of the brain. The brain produces the hormones for the posterior pituitary. There are only two. The two hormones are ADH and oxytocin. I'm not going to go through all of these one by one. That's what's so boring. That's the part I don't like. I'm going to go through a couple though to get you started. ADH stands for antidiuretic hormone or vasopressin. Vasopressin is an older term, but it's still in use. So you need to know both ADH and vasopressin. Where there is an abbreviation that's capitalized here, when there's an abbreviation, you're responsible for it as an abbreviation. Okay, you don't have to write the whole thing out. Antidiuretic hormone is released by the neural hypophysis. The hormone is ADH, and like the name says, antidiuretic hormone. So this stops you from urinating, okay, or holds urine in the bladder and ureters and even kidney longer, okay. It regulates water retention primarily by the kidney. That's the effect that I put in here as the most important. Okay. what would happen if ADH were not released? Okay, or its abundance was cut down. There'd be less of it, and then less of the target organ effect. And instead of uh, holding the water in the kidney, it would release it instead. Alcohol is one of the fastest ways to kill ADH production, or at least temporarily. And so alcohol can cause urination very fast. Okay? People who say, I'm dehydrated in the morning after a night of bar hopping or something. I've never bar hopped. I've done better things than that. But you hear it all the time. They say, I'm dehydrated. Damn right you are. That's exactly what's the matter. You are dehydrated. Okay. And okay, so what do you need to know here? That the neural hypothesis produces two hormones, ADH and oxytocin. Coming to that. What does ADH do? You need to know that. What does oxytocin do? And now we read over here, it acts on smooth muscles of the reproductive system. And this is going to promote contraction during childbirth and milk production later on. And you get those two down, and you're done. Well, that's fine. What about the front part of that pituitary gland? It's larger. It's called the adenohypophysis, otherwise known as the anterior pituitary. And my God, look at all the hormones that it produces. 4 here and 3 extend onto the next page. Okay. I'm going to go through this one with you, and then I'm going to leave you on your own for the weekend and come back with a bonus quiz next week. Okay. So, adenohypophysis, anterior pituitary. First thing and foremost it produces is HGH, human growth hormone. We've all heard of growth hormone. We've all heard of people taking it and getting brain tumors. We also see people taking supplements of these and other steroids to put on muscle mass. Okay, so human growth hormone, HGH, regulates the growth of the entire body. Well, usually a hormone is specific in its target organ. This one is not. This one causes uniform growth during puberty and throughout your entire life. Okay. We used to have a term that we're careful not to use. I'm using it with you so that you'll be careful not to use it. Pituitary dwarf. Instead, use the term little person, or think of another way of expressing it. I don't know. People get very sensitive, it seems. I know I do occasionally too. Uh, I'm short. I don't care. uh, but a pituitary dwarf is going to be 4'10" or less, and that could be some of you. I can't see you, you know. Uh, but pituitary dwarf is a person who lacks sufficient human growth hormone during development. A pituitary dwarf is a person then that is small, but also in proportion. In other words, smaller arms, smaller legs, everything's smaller. Okay, looks like a normal person otherwise. Okay, if you took a picture and blew it up, the person would look regular uh, to everybody. Unfortunately, pituitary dwarfs have limited lifespan, usually about 40 to 50 years old. and they also have tendency to senility. So it's nothing you want to mess with. It's something you want to find out about and supplement as a person is growing, and you can overcome these ill effects. Prolactin, PRL, okay, is also produced by the anterior pituitary, and it stimulates milk production. TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. This is an easy one. It's a pass the buck hormone. The TSH is produced and it goes to the thyroid, which is an endocrine gland in its own right, and it causes the thyroid to function. Okay, so it's sort of like an in-between switch. ACTH. Don't really know how to pronounce that. I took German, but that's not the way you spell ach. Okay. This is adrenocorticotropic hormone. Okay. It's not hard when you section this word out. Adeno refers to the adrenal gland. Cortico refers to the cortex of the adrenal gland, the outer portion. And tropic refers to growth. It signals the adrenal cortex to produce steroids. Steroids are primarily produced in the adrenal cortex, not the adrenal medulla. What steroid? Well, how about cortisone? Okay. And how about aldosterone, which keeps water, helps water to be reabsorbed by the kidney? Very important urinary system hormone. Okay. So cortisone and aldosterone are the two you would probably want to remember here. They're produced by the adrenal cortex. Okay. That adrenal cortex is the target organ of ACTH, which is produced, I'm going backwards, by the anterior pituitary. FSH, follicle stimulating hormone. Now, in your bio 20 or whatever you took, biology, you must have passed by this. Follicle stimulating hormone. It stimulates the maturation of an ovum in the ovary and the release of that ovum from the follicle. In maturing an ovum, you mature the follicle that is within as well. Okay. So this is a cyclic one that's produced in higher amounts, approximately once a month or once every 28 days. And then it abates and then it comes on again. Why does it abate? Because another hormone has an influence on it. You have sort of a negative feedback, which we'll talk about later. Okay, the hormone produced by the anterior pituitary, FSH, helps mature an ovum for release. Another one, LH, luteinizing hormone, does the same thing. Why do we need two hormones that do the same thing? We don't. We could do without one or the other so long as the remaining one produced enough of itself. But we have two. There's no law that says we can't have two. Okay? There's no reason we can't have two. Okay? And we do. FSH and LH. And now one last one for the anterior pituitary, and that's MSH, melanocyte stimulating hormone. Melanocytes are pigment cells in the skin that have influence on our skin color and tone, and depth of color. And if the melanocytes are not functioning at all, then you have an albino. Okay? But when they are functioning, they give us our skin color. Even a so-called white person has skin tone in most cases. But all the various colors are due here to the melanocytes. And these are controlled by the MSH. Okay. The melanocytes are in the epidermis. Okay, I will go over the remainder of these with you, not today, but I want you to go over them on your own first. And the way I'm going to get you to do that is I'm going to give you a bonus quiz. It's not going to be worth a hell of a lot, probably 5 points additional, not dependent upon any other test or thing. And that'll be on Tuesday. And I'm going to hear it from the people who don't know about it because they weren't here today, and they didn't find out from you, and they didn't uh, listen to the recording. But I can take it. Okay. And so what I will ask of you is some questions off of this sheet that you see here. Not only what I just covered, but the remainder of the sheet down to the pineal gland. Okay. I may ask you, what's the function of the pineal gland? Or I may ask you, what is the hormone secreted by the pineal gland? Okay. If it helps you for your purposes to have a picture in your mind where these guys are, and it should, just scroll down the page. And they're all shown right here. Okay, I'm going to leave this page at this point, and the bonus quiz is going to be given at the end of Tuesday. Okay. I'm going to have a practice quiz this weekend, probably Friday, because we got a lot of material now, and I want to put practice questions in front of people. That is not the bonus quiz. Okay, that's for you to work on, and everybody else too, for that matter. And I'll announce that one. But the bonus quiz will be on the end of Tuesday's talk. Nobody needs a bonus quiz, okay, but everybody wants it. Any questions?
No questions here.
Okay. Go back. See what else I had. They really ought to have little buttons on the side so you can go right to the module you want instead of scrolling down like this. Okay, I've also getting you started here, and if it's too early for you, then wait. Okay, I said there'd be a bonus, a practice quiz this weekend. Okay, and a bonus quiz next Tuesday. But I've also given you a practice final exam so that you know exactly what it's going to look like, with one difference. This one is just on paper, and you probably would want to print it for yourself and try your answers and then you can come back and find the answers right below it. Okay, this is not a bunch of radio buttons like we're used to, where you're going to push it and you're going to submit it. And it's going to give you the answer. Okay, this one's just a regular, like in class practice quiz. So practice quiz takes a while to come up the first time. Here are the questions. You're going to find I start the final examination at the start of the course. So the first thing we did was the joints. Okay, so which of the following is a fibrous synarthrotic joint? The answer to that is Foces. If you're looking for suture, it's not there. So it's got to be one of these other ones. And then I start there using that list of terms, the complete list. And then I might count 8 and get another term and make it the answer and keep on moving up. So you see we now are into division, the bones, the structure of the muscle, the GI tract. The more time we spend on anything, the more often it'll have a question, because I just count up a few questions and then I make a question up. Okay, that I hope that you'll know. This goes on up to now we're here the autonomic nervous system, the CNS, and it goes up to 50. So only 50 questions on the final. It's not meant to be exhausting. I want to see that you know the material still. For some people, the final, however, is do or die as far as the next higher grade is concerned. 50 questions, each worth 2 points. So it's still a 100-point test. And I'll do the multiplication on that. Okay. And then when you're ready for the answers, go to answers to practice final. And they're highlighted. Okay. I think I was told last semester that one of the highlighted answers was not the correct answer. And I don't know if that was the case, and I remember it correctly, I would have jumped on that and corrected it right away. But if you find one that is incorrect and you're the first one to tell me about it, that should be worth about 5 points too. So that'll get you to looking at it maybe a little bit faster. Okay, not necessary though. This is practice. Okay, I will eventually next week move this practice final and answers down to the end of number 14. You see, there's nothing here yet except for lymph, which is their very easy last topic. Okay. Other things that are coming, organ systems, organ systems. Most people have no trouble with that. More histology examples, and an old test of histology questions. Okay, you won't be able to access those yet. Okay, till I'm ready for you. You got enough. Okay. Let me take a quick look. Okay. I'm going to let you exit. If you want to ask a question, just hang around. If you want to ask a question and have it private, be the last one, or we can go to a private room. Okay? And I'll see you on Tuesday.
Thank you,
Thank you, Charlie.
Charlie.
Bye. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Charlie, I have a question, but it's not related exactly to this class.
ahead.
I've been waiting for Saddleback to post something about what they're doing for the fall semester. And there's no announcements. They haven't sent out an email or anything, but the fall 2021 class schedule's posted, and they have in-person classes and not a lot of online actually, because like I have to take chemistry next semester, and it looks like all of the options are hybrid, online, plus in class.
I have my assignment all ready for fall, and I'm online.
Yeah,
I didn't want it that way. I think that could change. I don't know if you can even hold them accountable. You know, if things open up, they probably may open up. It's
Yeah.
certain classes. Now, chemistry is one of those that how can you do it at all without being there, at least part of the time?
yeah,
Anatomy, they didn't let me teach last summer because they didn't think it could be done. And yet the students are going through to the next course and they're doing fine. Okay. It's not as
yeah.
fun. It's not as much fun. It's not the way I would prefer to teach it. That's for sure. But I know I'm listed as live stream. So
Okay.
I can't tell you what they're doing. Uh, completely. We do get messages from the president every Friday, but he bores me and I don't read them. I don't get into politics and stuff like that, you know. I mean,
Yeah, I was just wondering if you knew anything, because I looked online and all the options for chemistry are hybrid. They say online and face-to-face on campus.
which chemistry are you looking at?
Chemistry 108.
Which instructor are you looking at?
I'm looking at Zoval
Right.
or
No, no,
Udowski.
no. You want Zoval.
Zoval? Okay.
Yeah, you do. And
Okay.
if you don't get in because you get closed out, let me know. I'll get you in.
Okay. He has 3 classes, so hopefully.
Well, yeah,
my
but he's
registration-
very popular too.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he and I have an agreement. I take his students, he takes mine.
Okay.
But he's very good. Everybody likes him. You can email him. You don't have to be afraid of him, and ask him. You know what the class is going to be like.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Have fun in Disney World when you get there.
Thank you. See you next week.
Okay.
Professor,
Yes.
I missed the first hour of class. Is the only thing that I need to study for is the extra credit Tuesday, besides everything else, but for the weekend, or is there something else you said?
I don't, you know, as far extra credit is just that extra credit. It's not even part of the course necessarily. That is
Okay.
not the important part. You study for that if you want to try to get some extra points, okay, and get ahead. But you're getting behind by leaving the other out. You're not the only one that wasn't there. Don't worry. This is the first hour. I suggest you listen to the first hour of the recording.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay, now it's not up yet. It takes a couple hours to from them to send it to me. Okay, Maria.
Okay, Sounds
Okay.
good. Thank you.